Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Sandeep Sharma. I'm a consulting and research professional with IDC. At the very outset, let me mention that this conversation has no relation whatsoever with my stint at IDC and has no commercial angle at all. This is just an endeavor to give back to society through knowledge dissemination on themes such as education, healthcare, innovation, and others that are relevant for our society. If you would have seen the last video, my last conversation was with Mr. Kostov Patki of Microfocus. And we talked about overall B2B and tech marketing. And he shared several career options within marketing for MBA students. Today, we will take the opportunity and we have a very fantastic guest today. We will focus on two specific marketing areas. We'll focus on analyst relations and public relations, AR and PR. And for this, it is my pleasure and privilege to welcome Mrs. Sudeshna Mukherjee. She is the lead manager, analyst relations for Datamatics Global Services Ltd. A warm welcome to you, Sudeshna. Thank you for taking out time. I'm sure it will be helpful for the business students.
Thanks, Sandeep. Thanks for the welcome. And that's a wonderful introduction of myself. My pleasure that I'm able to connect with you and that I'm able to contribute my 2 cents towards your initiative.
Sure.
So yeah, happy to carry forward the conversation.
Thank you. In fact, when we speak to industry executives like you, I think this is really helpful for business school students. And the one interesting part is your journey. So you also, did your studies. You finished your studies long back. Then you started your, career in the corporate. So it would be great for the business school students to hear from you on your journey till now. What has been your corporate journey till now? Could you please elaborate on that, please?
Sure, sure, Sandeep. So I have almost 10 to 13 years of experience in the marketing. And I started with working with an ad agency after my PG diploma in mass communication. But I had a very short stint, say a year or so, with the ad agency, and then I moved to a corporate role. So I started my entire journey, if you see, is thoroughly with the B2B companies and with the IT tech companies. So that's the one industry that I have stick throughout my career for the last 10, 12 years. So initially, as a fresher, when I moved to a corporate marketing side, I was more of a generalist. So a generalist corporate firm is like you support a particular BU. So say you are assigned for a BFSI or a retail BU, and you cater to their entire marketing needs. Whether they are doing some events, then you support it. Whether there are some collaterals, yes, you do that. Whether some bit of PR or website, everything you do. So you are generalist throughout. You're not a specialist. But for the last 5 to 6 years, if you see, so I have moved to more and more of a specialist role. So I started more on focused on PR and communications, and then on AR. So that has been my core area of work for the last 6, 7 years. So I worked with multiple PR agencies, and I worked on multiple internal communication initiatives, as well as there are many executive and strategic communication initiatives which I work with the top leadership of the companies that I work. And uh, yes, and AR, of course, I'm working in Datamatics. AR is my full-time role right now, and yes, I work with multiple analyst relationship firms uh, to promote Datamatics products and services.
That's been an amazing journey. In fact, I mean, if you look at your journey from ad agencies to becoming a marketing generalist to becoming a very to leading a very specialized role, which is analyst relations. I think you have covered the
Yes,
entire gamut of B2B marketing and tech marketing in your career till now. That's amazing.
yes. I am fortunate. Yes, that way I'm fortunate. Yes, to cover the entire journey.
Okay. So one of the myths, Sudeshna, that I wanted to take your inputs on and probably bust it for business school students is the they feel that the roles of AR and PR. PR is, I mean, advertising is still fine, but AR and PR, I don't think they understand the real value of these two functions of marketing, these two arms of marketing. So it would be great for the business school students to understand from an seasoned industry leader like you, what is the value of AR and PR, especially in tech marketing? Is there any value? I'm sure you interact with a lot of analysts, and you interacted with me also as a part of my stint at IDC. But do you really see any value in leading analyst relations for companies like Datamatics?
It's extremely valuable, and I want to clear one myth as well. I keep getting, even on my LinkedIn profile, I keep getting requests from freshers, and they want to ask me whether B2B is more important or B2C, and I keep getting those kind of emails from people even on my LinkedIn profile, that Sudeshna, is B2B marketing important? So I want to clear that myth, that B2B market is as important as B2C. So guys, please don't hesitate. Please don't think that B2B marketing has got no role to play. And if I talk specifically about AR and PR, definitely both of them are doing extremely important, particularly in today's world. If I look at PR, and I've seen them evolving, Sandeep, I'm seeing them evolving for the last 10, 12 years. When I started, it was more of a support to the sales that you provide in terms of their requirement. But now, no, marketing is at the front end. And you are adding much more value. In fact, you are leading one of the very important segments. So we know we all live in a digital world, and 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 there's so much of information around. So how do you keep your uh, say larger audience informed, whether be it customers, whether be your prospects, your investors, or even your own employees? How do you keep them informed? How do you let them know as an organization what you stand for, what the senior leadership is like, what the senior leadership is planning for the organization, what is the vision, and what are your services solutions, how are you adding value to your customers? So I feel PR reaches out to a very broad audience, and that helps you to perceive people about your organization. How should they perceive your organization as a growing company, as a startup, as an established firm? How do they perceive if you don't let them know? And particularly in digital world, I want to talk one more important aspect about PR, which I keep getting questions from people. See, PR is not about just doing a few press releases or getting published in a few PR articles or a few trade magazines or a few mainline media. PR is more about communication. So whether you do it through trade magazines or you are reflecting the same on your website or social media platform, so it's the same thing. You cannot just restrict it. Like earlier, I have seen that concept of a PR was thought that, oh, it is just getting a few articles published here and there. It's no, it has a broader prospect, much broader prospect than that, and it is like it covers the entire audience. And with
Sure.
digital platforms, you can reach out to a mass audience. And that's my take on PR. And to talk about AR, you yourself know how important it is, uh, how AR professionals are plays a very important role in the entire buying journey or buying cycles for the tech firms, and the kind of value they add. It's two-way communication. I'm not saying that getting featured in the reports is the ultimate, but if you are a B2B software firm or a B2B product company, definitely taking inputs from AR professional helps to improve your product.
Sure.
So you get a lot of industry insights which helps you to move forward. So of course, those is a specialist role. You reach out to a very niche set of audience, but the value that you get is immense.
So Deshnaji, actually, the information that is available for PR is actually quite good, and most business school students don't have any issues understanding PR. They might not be too well versed with what happens within a PR function, what kind of specific skills are required. But if you look at AR, I think this is totally like an alien concept to most of the business school students. Even I did not hear of an AR when I graduated way back. So can you please, and I would like to, with your permission, I would like to, for a step back, and if you could help the students understand what exactly is AR, then they would be able to better relate it. How do you link it to influencer marketing? So if you could help the students with some basic idea of what AR exactly is.
Sure, sure. So I can, in a layman's language, I can tell. So, I'm sure you must have heard of the top AR farms. I don't want to name them. Even Sandeep is from one of them, from IDC. So how they add value. So you brief them about your products and services. And these guys are advisors to the CIOs, CTOs of the big firms. So they are playing a very, very crucial role in your entire buying cycle. So like buying a software is not like buying a very small stuff. So there are multiple levels that goes while buying any software, or when you select any vendor, whether for a service or for a product. So the role goes in depth, and there are multiple levels where your criteria are set. So a AR farm helps you to connect with those. They both PR and AR, they are third party accreditation for you. So they are validating your product. They're saying, yes, your product and service works. So if you work with this vendor, this will help you. Okay, so in fact, in many of the RFIs I have seen, even for the sales RFIs, where it's mentioned that are you part of this particular report, then only they are keen on evaluating you.
Right.
So you understand. So it's like getting featured in their reports, and then when you get featured in their reports, you can also promote them. Like you using your PR platform to again start promoting where you stand. So among all the vendors, you establish your credibility. So if you say, if I go and say that, oh, I am here, then people will not believe. I will always say that I am the best.
Sure.
But AR is something, a specialized person is giving you the accreditation. Yes, you stand in the market. Your product is valuable. It's adding value. And he has done an independent analysis of your product. And it's not that they do it just by doing a few calls. They do in-depth analysis. For that, you need to share multiple data points with them. You need to take them at times. You need to give them product demos multiple times. So the assessment is very genuine. It's just not uh, based on a few briefings. So uh,
Sure.
yes. So Sandeep, you feel anything else that I should add that will add value or make provide more clarity? Then yes, I can
Yeah,
do that.
I think this has been an amazing, if I can call it a definition or framework building. I think, and just to add to what you said, Sudeshna, I'll just give one specific example for AR, and you rightly mentioned and very clearly explained that IT buying is typical B2B procurement. It is not a typical B2C kind of a procurement where the sales cycle is short
Yes,
and the complexity is too low. IT procurement is a very complex
exactly.
transaction, and more often than not, decision makers are also varied, and you would find more than one or two power centers, or even more power centers within technology procurement team. And navigating through all of this is very, very complex for tech companies. So if you look at tech companies like Microsoft or Amazon, or even your company, Sudeshna, Datamatics, so procurement, selling
Yes,
to selling to IT function is actually quite difficult. And most of the times, the IT decision maker, who is the CIO or CDO or CTO, they normally depend on third party advice, and they look for reports from companies like IDC, Gartner, Forrester. There are multiple other analyst firms in the market today. And this is where the role of AR comes into the picture. Analyst relations team within a company like Datamatics or Microsoft is actually very important. This is an important arm of influencer marketing, and it helps the analysts be totally abreast of what is happening, what are the major product updates, what are the capabilities of different tech companies, and they use all of this information in their assessment and publish it in the form of reports, which are then read by the IT decision makers. So in a sense, this
exactly.
is absolutely critical, and this is a very, very critical arm of the overall influencer marketing, I would say, that exists in technology companies. So thank you for bringing that point out. This would really help the clear around what exactly AR is.
Thanks,
Great.
Sandeep.
So, Sudeshna, let me just quickly jump on to a couple of other questions. So, when we talk about AR and
Sure.
PR, Yeah. When we talk about AR and PR, could you also help us understand, some of these specific skills or knowledge areas that students must be aware of? These students are just maybe in the first final year of their studies right now. So what are some specific skills that students must invest in to get a job in PR or AR?
Sure. So I think a PR function is very much dependent on good writing skills.
Okay.
So you need to have good writing skills, uh, and a good understanding of business is imperative. You may be at any field of marketing, but a very good understanding of your product, services, and solutions, that's the first criteria. So you need to be very crystal clear about what the product stands for or what your services stand for. For PR, of course, writing skills are very important. Also, you need to be a bit creative in your writing. You need to able to think through different angles in which you can write a story, or you can pitch the top officials or the top leadership team of the organization. So you need to have a little creative bend of mind. You don't have to be as creative as a designer,
Mm.
but yes, some creativity in writing is required.
Okay.
For AR, I would say that it needs a lot of data crunching.
Okay.
So if you are good with Excel, it's good. And if you have good analytical skill, that really helps. You can start analyzing what others are doing. You can derive the insights from multiple calls that you have with the analyst, and then again from multiple reports, and that really provides good insights, which again can pass on to the leadership team.
Sure. So in
Uh,
fact, yeah.
so those are,
Mm.
yes, yes, Sandeep, please.
No, no, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Sorry, please go ahead.
Yes. So, but one thing that I would like to emphasize here, that soft skills are very important for both these roles. Okay, so all the hard skill that I have spoke, I think Sandeep, anybody can, uh, like, either they are very good at or they will learn eventually over a period of time.
Sure.
But what really helps you is your soft skills over here, your interpersonal skill, and your ability to connect with people both internally and externally are very important. So one important thing that you have to keep in mind, whether you are driving a AR or a PR program in any organization, you are very much dependent on your internal stakeholders. You need
Sure.
complete support from them to drive this program successfully. So
Sure.
how you convince them, how you uh, build that relationship with them, where they provide you the complete details or where they help you with the entire program, that really plays a very important, very crucial role. And
Absolutely.
one very important point which I want to mention is that neither of them can give you overnight results. So if you join a PR or a AR, you have to sustain it for the long run.
Sure.
So you need to you need to be persistent, but at the same time you need to keep your patience. These are all long driven programs, and they will give you very good results. They will yield good results as long as you are able to maintain the momentum.
Sure, sure. So in fact, I'll just add a couple of points here. In my experience as well, I can really vouch for all the points that you've mentioned, specifically the point around soft skill, because I really understand being an analyst. I
Yes,
really know that coordination is a very tough, very tough, especially amongst different analyst firms. And even within the same analyst firm, you sometimes need to reach out to multiple teams of analysts. And it becomes very difficult to
yes,
keep all of the analysts on the same platform with regards to your company's products, company's solutions, company's positioning. It becomes very difficult. So I would say the role of an AR is that of a strategist. It is a very strategic role. If not purely, I would if not purely, I can call it a marketing strategist. But it definitely has a lot of strategy elements, because you need to understand what your company is all about, what your products are, where is your company moving in the next 3 to 5 years. So it involves all of these angles. You need to be well
absolutely,
aware of all of these things. Without these things, you cannot succeed as an
absolutely.
AR. And similarly with PR as well.
Yes, if
Yes. And with PR as
Yes,
well.
yes, I'm saying if you are, yes, Sandeep, absolutely correct.
Yeah. And with PR, as you said, we need to be creative. And with PR, Sudeshna, I think one thing is also very important, which is the idea of getting it correct. You have to get it correct, because this relates to mass media. And you want to say A, but it can be read as B, translated as C, and then circulated as D. So PR is also actually quite important from a communication standpoint.
Yes. So with PR, since you're reaching out to a very, very broad audience, so there are multiple nuisances. So yes, you have to be very careful about that part whenever you are communicating. And at the same time, it gives you a very short timeline.
Sure.
So you need to be really quick, fast, understand the organization well. You should have that, like, I know the company in and out, I know the people here in and out, and I can vouch for them. So that confidence level has to be there.
Sure. So great. Thank you, Sudeshna. I think this has been a great introductory sort of a primer for business students. I hope that after listening to this conversation, they would have a much better idea of what a PR role is, what an AR role is, and obviously they would do some research on their own, and they would delve deep dive into what really goes into each one of these roles. But I think this has been a very good conversation. Thank you, Sudeshna, for taking out time and enlightening the student community. This is helpful for them. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandeep. Great pleasure. Yeah. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
So thank you, everybody. Have a nice day ahead. Thank you.